Parag Parikh Mutual Fund House has come up with a conservative hybrid category funds new fund offering, that is NFO. We have Mr. Raj Mehta, the fund manager from the fund house, with us to take us through the objective of this NFO, all the basic details as well as the suitability of this product for investors. So let's go. Before going into the discussion, here is a standard disclaimer. Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Please read the scheme information document carefully before investing and consult your financial advisor before taking a buy or sell call. This particular video is only for educational purpose and cannot be construed as an investment advice. Hello everyone, I am CA Rohit Gyanchandani and I welcome you all to this interesting one-on-one session with the fund manager. I am the co-founder at FinCademy and today we are going to discuss about the new fund offering that has come from the most admired fund house in our country, that is PPFAS Mutual Fund. We are going to talk about Parag Parikh Conservative Hybrid Fund, that's the NFO. With me, I have Mr. Raj Mehta, the fund manager of this fund with PPFAS. I'm so glad to have you, sir. Thank you so much for doing this with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Right. So, starting off, I would like you to introduce the fund to our viewers. A lot of them have sent us the query with respect to the details of the fund, or they want to understand the objective, and they are interested in subscribing to the NFO. So, I would just would you so just take us through the objective of the fund.
Sure. So, most of the investors have allocation towards debt either in the form of, say, bank fixed deposits or government saving schemes taxable RBI bonds or PPF or some other senior citizen saving schemes, etc. So, all these options come with either a lock-in period or they are tax inefficient, except for, say, PPF, which is taxation wise better, but at the same time it comes with a 15-year lock-in period. So we thought that let's give a tax efficient option to the investor where we can get returns better than the bank FDs. At the same time, taxation wise it is more efficient than a bank FD and some of the government saving schemes options. So that's how this scheme was founded. Uh, uh, the thought process was that instead of uh, you know uh, confusing the investor with too many choices, let's have everything in one scheme. So this though it is in the conservative hybrid category, we call it a debt scheme, given that we wanted flexibility to go anywhere on the debt side. It just happened to be in the conservative hybrid category because it gave us the flexibility to do anything that we wanted to do. So this scheme has a good mix of debt. At the same time, it has equity and REITs in it also. So what it does is that it gives inflation protection to the investor and at the same time gives returns which are better than bank fixed deposits. So that was the whole thought process behind launching this scheme.
Right. So this again, there is one interesting question that a lot of people have put through, but this is what something that I personally also had to ask. So PPFAs as a fund house has been very transparent with respect to their philosophy of investing, and they have only launched the funds when either they have something different to offer or that category itself is required in the market. So I remember first it was flexi cap. Earlier it was known as long term equity, then flexi cap. Then there was tax saver and liquid, tax saver for tax saving purposes and liquid to have a STP option technically. So just to emphasize, with respect to the debt category, you already had liquid fund in that. So how do we differentiate this particular offering from the liquid fund that you're offering?
So you're right that we had decided that we'll launch a scheme only when we can offer something different to the investor. At the same time, where we are excited to put our own money in that scheme. So that was the whole thought process behind launching the scheme. Liquid scheme is something where a, investor can invest for a short period of time, whereas we wanted an option where the investor can invest on the debt side for a longer period of time as well. So here on all the marketing collaterals, we have put a stamp which says that the investor should have a time horizon of more than 3 years if he wants to invest in this scheme. So obviously, liquid fund is for shorter time periods, whereas this scheme is for a longer time period.
Interesting. So this fund being hybrid in nature, however, it is predominantly a debt fund, right? So the most challenging question right now with respect to market and investors is there has been bad times with respect to debt in past, especially in 2018-19. There were years where there were a lot of defaults with AAA papers also, and a lot of investors have lost confidence with respect to these debt funds. So my question is, how exactly is your fund house planning to avoid that credit event or the credit risk that may not occur in these categories?
So on the debt side, we will predominantly be investing in government securities and state development loans, which are sovereign rated. So both of them are sovereign rated, and the chances of default are very less. We'll also be investing a small portion in high quality AAA rated and PSU papers, where we think that the chances of credit are very low. So along with the credit rating agencies, we have our own internal research team, which does research on the companies, and then based on that we have come out with a universe where we thought that the chances of credit default are very low. So that's the first part. Second is, we do not want to actually play on the maturity side. So some people feel that we are at this point in the interest rate cycle, then why launch this fund when the maturity will be a little higher, and at the same time interest rates may go up. So we do not want to play that game. Basically, it's a simple fund. It's not for someone who wants to time the interest rate cycle. It's basically to lend money to someone who from whom we can get the money back. So that's the basic thought process. In return of capital is very important in debt side, and that's the main thesis that will play out in on the debt side of the portfolio, as we have seen in on our liquid fund as
Right. So this is very interesting point where you say that return of capital is important rather than return on capital, especially in case of debt funds. We've always said this, that if you are interested in taking risk, just go ahead and invest in equities. Debt is not the place to take risk. I heard Rajiv say this once. So since the debt component of this fund seems to be actively managed, okay, could you maybe throw some light on what could be the average maturity or Macaulay duration of this debt component of the fund?
Yes. So I would not be able to disclose the maturity number right now till the first portfolio is disclosed. But at the same time, I would say that the shorter end papers, say 3 month papers, are trading at 3.5% or something, whereas a longer dated, say 5 to 10 year paper is trading somewhere between 5.5 to 6%. So either you be happy with a 3.5% return and invest in a liquid fund, or you take interest rate risk and invest in higher maturity papers. So to get higher returns than bank FDs and to beat inflation, either you have to take credit risk or you have to take duration risk. Duration risk is basically interest rate risk. So that is something which we are willing to take. We are not willing to take credit risk. Duration risk is something which we can take, and we want to offer a simple solution to the end investor.
Right, right. Now, because there is an equity kicker involved in this portfolio that could practically enhance the returns if an investor stays in for longer duration. Coming to that exposure now, the fund can invest maximum up to 25% in the equities. Now, I want to understand the flagship scheme that we have is on the growth side. So the objective is the long-term capital appreciation. With respect to this offering, whether the stocks in the portfolio, that 25% bracket, whether they will be the high growth companies, or are you looking at more stable cash flow companies, high dividend yield kind of stocks that have a floor price if something goes south?
That's correct. So this fund will have a completely different strategy when it comes to equity compared to the flexi cap scheme. So this will have again, FlexiCap also we look at very stable cash flow companies, so not very different, but yes, little bit different. Here we'll be looking at some companies which do buybacks or give higher dividends, companies which have margin of safety, or we can invest in some special situations which can give that kind of a return. So focus here again will be stability, at the same time getting your capital back. uh, Given that the investors here will be looking for a low volatility kind of a product, will not be investing in very high beta stocks in this portfolio.
Okay, okay. Uh, Now this is where it gets a little bit interesting. The mandate also has a maximum of 10% exposure to REITs and InvITs. Now this is an interesting market in India. We have seen a few IPOs coming up for REIT as well as InvIT. Your flagship scheme does also has this similar mandate. However, we have not seen any exposure on that scheme yet. So do you have anything already shortlisted with respect to this fund, or all of them is still on the watch list, and once the opportunity comes you are going to grab it?
So yes, the FlexiCap fund also has the mandate to invest in REITs and InvITs, but at the same time, it has a wider choice of companies to invest in India as well as global. So we haven't found these opportunities better than the ones which are existing over there. So that's why we have not invested in the FlexiCap fund. Whereas in this scheme, if you see, the mandate here is basically to beat inflation and have higher returns than the bank FDs. What REITs and InvITs do is they give debt kind of returns with the rental yields that they give. At the same time, you get the capital appreciation, so it has that equity component also in that. So we feel that it's a very good part of the portfolio, and in this category, if you see, no other scheme has actually invested in these REITs and InvITs. So I think this could be a differentiating factor going ahead.
Right. So here is a general question that a lot of people would have. I have seen that it is there on your document that you've filed, or the investors communication, but what according to you, since we won't have a clarity on the duration part of the debt portfolio, what according to you would be the minimum time horizon that an investor should have in mind before investing in this scheme?
So minimum 3 years is what we have been telling to all our investors. So as in our FlexiCap scheme, we have been telling investors that 5 years is the minimum that you need to hold. This scheme is meant for investors who can hold it for 3 years so that they can get tax efficient returns in their portfolio. So that's the time horizon that we would like.
Yes, so the indexation benefit would come through if they hold it for 3 years. That is there. Right, right. So now one important aspect that PPFAS is also known for is the skin in the game thing that the managers have. So you have the insiders investing in the own scheme to gain more interest of the investors. Can we expect the same thing with respect to this scheme also?
Definitely. So you will see skin in the game in this scheme also, and it will be disclosed once the NFO is closed. It will be disclosed on our website, and you will be able to see how much we have invested in this.
Excellent, excellent. So now I'd like to take up a couple of questions from our Twitter handle that we ran this campaign and then we got some questions. So Mr. Abhay Dubey here asks that, he says, congratulations on the NFO. Would like to know about how are the returns of these funds taxed?
So these returns will be taxed as all the debt funds are taxed in India. If you sell it within 3 years, the capital gains will be taxed at your tax slab. Whereas if you sell it after 3 years, you will get the indexation benefit, and the capital gains will be taxed at 20%.
Right. So this fund is taxed as a debt mutual fund, and long-term, short-term capital gains that the rules apply to debt funds will be applying to this fund also. Right. So here is the second question from Mr. Shubham Agarwal. He says whether the fund offers any dividend payout option, and if yes, what is the frequency and the expected payout in percentage terms?
So dividend option is now called income distribution from
Distribution
capital
come with,
withdrawal.
yes.
So it's a complicated term, but that's how it is called now. So yes, we do have a monthly payout and a monthly reinvestment plan here, but I would not be able to disclose as to how much you can withdraw, because that is something which you will be able to see after the first month's performance is there. So I would not be able to give out a number to you. At the same time, one thing which I would like you to focus on is that the expense ratio for this scheme has been kept very, very low. If you look at
Yes.
the category expense ratio is somewhere between 0.7 to 1.2%, whereas we have kept it as 0.3%. So again, the thought process behind this was that if you want the investor to earn returns which are higher than bank FDs, then you need to keep the expense ratio lower.
Low.
So that's how we came out with this number. So for the direct plan, it is 0.3%, whereas for regular plan, it is 0.6%.
Right. So that again is a very, very competitive and very quite manageable expense ratio for an investor to invest in this fund. It definitely is a very good point. So I come to the end of this session, and I have this one question for you that is not related to fund, but just a general question. I want to ask you, what would be one piece of advice that you would like to give our investors in current market scenario?
So in any market scenario, I would say that the answer will remain the same. Have a asset allocation in place. Stick to your asset allocation irrespective of what the market is doing. Have your allocation in terms of equity, debt, real estate. So just like in our conservative hybrid, we'll be having a mix of debt, equity, and REITs invest. In your own portfolio, also have allocation towards debt, have a allocation towards real estate, have a allocation towards equity. Equity is meant for long term goals, whereas debt is meant for short term goals. So stick to that allocation over the years, and you will do well.
Amazing, amazing. So, friends, the NFO opens on 7th May. It closes on 21st May. The minimum subscription amount the fund houses kept is 5,000 rupees. All the scheme related documents I have given in the description in this link. I am also giving the link of the fund house where you can find these documents. Do read this before investing or consult your financial advisor. Thanks a lot, Raj, for doing this one on one with us. We wish you all the best for your NFO.
Thanks a lot for having me. Thank you.